Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fortress Comic News, episode 303. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host here, Mike. How are we doing today, Mike?
Good, man. We got a returning guest on the show today, Mr. Richard Fairgray.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a while, so gonna be chatting to him about his memoir on Kickstarter. What? Going to the big old Kickstarter.
Yeah, he took the plunge.
Yeah, so we'll talk to him in a little bit. I just got back from seeing the Book of Mormon at Proctor's Theater in Schenectady. Amazing show. If you like, I mean, it's written by Trey and Josh are the creators of Trey and Matt. Sorry, I was thinking Drake and Josh. Trey and Matt from South Park. So like the intro was like people dressed as like religious figures and like their voiceovers because they do like the intro like this like the abridged version of like the Mormon origins. It was really funny and very vulgar. Like, man, some of the songs like they really rip apart religion. But it's a really smart story because they basically like flip the story of the Mormon faith, add like Star Wars and Disney shit like they usually do in a South Park episode. And that's like the new religion they're preaching to like these people in Africa. It's amazing. And there's a huge slap in the face to do you know the song We Are the World?
No, I haven't seen anything from it because I want to see it fresh.
Okay. I will say that there's a big slap in the face to We Are the World. If you remember that, was that a song from like the 80s or the 90s they did?
Oh, yeah.
About Africa. One, yeah. It's amazing. That's all I'll say. It's and there's some pop culture references in there. So some hobbits are mentioned, Star Trek, Star Wars, all that stuff. So it was a good time.
Next time you and the missus come and visit my neck of New York, we can go try to dig up the tablets because that happened like
Rochester,
a town
New York.
over from me.
Yeah. They even mentioned that in the play too, which is crazy. They're like, when he buried them in Rochester, New York, and I was like, what?
Yeah, it happened in like, so I'm in the suburbs. It happened in like another town over.
Mm-hmm. They're still digging.
Yeah.
They're like, and then he grabbed the tablets, the golden tablets, and God said, "Don't show them to anyone. Write it down in a book."
Yeah,
it's like okay.
So he buried them back in a hill.
Yeah,
so they're still there somewhere. We can dig them up if you want.
Yeah, but it was a good time. I like going to see any of those shows. So it was a lot of fun. Had a lot of news this dropping this week from Mr. James Gunn.
This is the week we've been waiting for.
Yeah, so I kind of just want to dive right into it because we've been talking about it for like 5 episodes straight. I think before we get to the list of stuff though, let's jump into the TV stuff. Did you cry like a baby? Last of Us episode 3?
So I it's really good and it is very touching. I'm of two minds of it though.
Okay.
So it's phenomenally done. Like, really well done. I thought the story was great. The actors did just such a great job of telling this story inside this post-apocalyptic world.
Mm-hmm.
Love story at that. It's also like the most they've deviated from the game.
Yeah.
Because spoilers, like Bill's alive in the game. And
right.
And you don't see that relationship.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see. This is where my other thoughts come into it. I'll be interested to see if and how it really blends into the rest of the story because I really thought that it was a filler episode. A really good filler episode.
Yeah, it was like the best.
But it was a filler episode.
Yeah, I mean, it wrapped up where we found out where they're getting the pills from, what the '80s music meant. That was like those 3 episodes. If you told me that was like a Last of Us miniseries and that's all we're getting, that was pretty amazing. And honestly, though, oh my god, who's the guy for Parks and Rec in it?
Yeah. I just call him Ron Swanson.
Yeah, and everybody calls him Ron Swanson. But I will say, I want him to do a drama so bad after that episode. Like, I had no idea that guy could, I mean, he's Ron, but like,
Nick Offerman.
Yeah, I would love to watch a drama with him now. Like, why not put him in a drama?
You know what he's really good in? Did you ever watch The Founder?
No, I've never watched that.
Okay. Go watch The Founder. It's really good. I
Mm-hmm.
think your missus will enjoy it too.
Okay.
It's got so Michael Keaton is
Oh,
the
I love
lead,
Michael Keaton.
and it's all about the founding of McDonald's.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I don't remember what the other actor was, but it's Nick Offerman and this other guy are the original like creators of McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michael Keaton plays the guy who basically franchises them and then rips them off.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
It's so good though. But he's great in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even know he was in that. Yeah. Fantastic episode. Like you said, filler episode for sure. Filler episode where you cry your eyes out. I think the whole philosophy of the episode and stuff was crazy of like, and the Nick Offerman being like he found his purpose. Not he wasn't just a survivalist at the end. His purpose was to like protect this guy, and then his purpose was over. That was a really good, like, I think that was a really strong, and I mean we probably didn't need a whole episode devoted to this, but like a reason for um I don't know the character's name, but Ellie and whatever
Joel.
Joel to like protect her till the end of the line, you know.
The saddest part of that whole thing was when he's reading the note and it
Yeah,
says to protect Tess.
yeah.
That is the moment I almost cried.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a
Yeah,
reminder of everything that Joel's failed
yeah,
with. I'll say
yeah.
the two
Yep.
themes though of this that aren't talked about right now that I really, really enjoyed was one is like I always like the post apocalyptic prepper guy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I think they're great.
especially coming from an industry that I know like hates those people, but
Oh yeah,
I just think it's so funny when those like prepper guys and it's like, yeah, they were right all along.
yeah. Right.
But
I know. I always think that's funny. Like their time has come.
but I do like that Offerman's character was basically, for lack of a better term, he was an incel.
Yeah. Right.
And then the whole idea of like these people aren't these like fucked up terrible people. They need somebody to show them.
Yeah.
Um I really, really enjoyed that portion too because yeah, he was 100% like what you think of when you think of an incel.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure a lot of that episode might have made those people very mad.
Possibly, yeah. But I loved it because
Yeah.
it was to me like just try to say to those people like gay or straight, it's just like, listen, there's the moment can come for you and
Right.
it can end up like this. I like that. It just
Yeah.
that touched me more than anything.
Um. I do think it's interesting, like when they talk about. I think they talked about this episode too. How everything like came through the wheat or the grain, like was how
Mhm.
everybody was infected. Then in the first episode, I had put this two and two together, but it's going around that like all of the ways that Joel's daughter could have been infected in the first episode because she talks about a birthday cake, she talks about making pancakes, all this stuff, and it was like okay, that was a nod. And early out, like the cookies, like with the old lady eating the cookies, that was just a nod to be like, yeah, she had like 7 different ways she could have been infected in that one day. Um, but yeah, I think it was the show is really good.
Yeah.
It's just really good.
That was also like a scene of being like, guys, buy local, stop being
Yeah,
global.
yeah. Buy local. Stop buying like pancake mix. That's big conglomerate pancake mix.
Can I say something that made me laugh? I understand there was more to this, like than just this, but that moment where like he pours the wine and
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, the perfect wine to like pair with rabbit,"
yeah,
and like that's how the guy knew he was gay.
yeah.
That
That was
made me
really
laugh.
funny. Yeah, he's like I didn't take you for someone to know that, and it
I
was
was like,
like
"This is a
really funny.
little on the nose, guys," but
Yeah, I was like, come on. Yeah, no, that was really good. All right,
show's
let's get in.
amazing though.
Yeah, it is really good. Amazon Studios has acquired the rights to Ed Brubaker's and Sean Phillips' series Criminal Reports. It's indicated the project is already in pre-production with Brubaker acting as executive producer and showrunner. Also, the reports say that Writer's Room is already up and running. I never read that.
I don't know if you would like it or not. I know you're not.
Not a big,
I'm
yeah,
the Ed Brubaker guy.
yeah.
Yeah,
You love him, so I'm sure you're excited for this.
I love this. Criminal is one of the best like crime noir books ever
Mm-hmm.
made. So I'm really excited, and I like that Brubaker's been doing a lot of work in TV. So to put him in charge of it is really great too. So
yeah,
I'll be very much intrigued to see if this goes all the way through and how it turns out, because this is one of those books that I just love.
and I think Amazon's starting to take these comic book properties seriously, which is good.
Yeah, and Amazon's actually been doing a really great job with them recently. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm happy it landed there.
yep. The only person fucking up right now is Netflix, so do better, Netflix. Be
Did
better.
did you ever did you read that report that Netflix claims they never
Yes.
canceled a popular show?
Yeah. I've read a lot of things. I think they have a troll working in their media department.
I think they believe that
Yeah, they really do. They
because
they they truly do.
yeah, because we talked about it multiple times, but how they actually determine what's popular is through binging.
Yeah.
So if you and I watch something over like a week or multiple weeks, that doesn't count towards the numbers. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, because you're fucking up the way you do your numbers.
Yeah.
That's why you think you're not canceling popular stuff.
Yeah. People that work 6 days a week have time to binge a show. Come on.
Yeah, as somebody who does that most of the
Yeah.
year,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we got the big news from DC, everybody. The DC cinematic universe has been
buckle
brought
in.
out in front of us by James Gunn. I want to start off to say there's some reports coming out that like James and Peter Safran have like butted heads with the people at not butted heads, but they've like shit on the Snyderverse in the sense of like there's a lot of things they did wrong, and it's people like some of the executives are kind of butthurt about it because the executives that worked on those properties are still there. Maybe that's part of the problem. I wonder. Um, but I will say this: the speculator in me is very happy that I have a Booster Gold #1 because that book went from like being a $2 book to being like a $60 book on eBay in one fucking day. So, uh, and I will say that was the one book I bought not because I was worth anything, because I fucking love Booster Gold.
So quick to wrap up Snyderverse stuff, because hopefully this is the
Yeah.
last time we ever talk about it. To the
Mm-hmm.
executives that are butthurt about this, possibly, you failed.
Yeah, you
Get over
failed
it.
this city.
To the fans that think that that the Snyderverse was this amazing thing and that they're terrible for stopping it, it failed. Get over it. Like, I
Yep,
don't know how else to put it to you. Like, if it was successful, we would still be in the Snyderverse.
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
Um,
excited about this, so let's get into it.
yeah, so they're referring to this chapter as Gods and Monsters. Originally stated it's going to include TVs, movies, video games. Like, that's the first thing. Across all universes, keeping the same voice actors as the live actors. Bam, you're already doing it right. You're already off to a good start. Gods and Monsters might refer to maybe Vandal Savage is going to come in as a overarching villain. Maybe.
Maybe.
I think they even like it was hinted that maybe they would have Aquaman play Vandal Savage too. Like that was something that had come up with those because he was having meetings with James Gunn, so that would be pretty cool. I think Vandal Savage is a cool villain. He's timeless because he's immortal.
I I think it's simpler than that.
Yeah,
We have the gods of DC, Superman, Wonder Woman, these
mm-hmm.
gods, and then we have the creature commandos, Swamp Thing, the monsters.
See, Chris. This is
I
why
I,
Chris is
I think
in
it's yeah.
charge of things. I'm
I
just
hope you're
well.
right.
I'm thinking of Justice League Gods and Monsters with specific movie, so I don't know.
Well,
And Run.
remember, Injustice Gods and Monsters was a animated movie,
Yeah.
but it
Yep.
was a alternate universe where like Batman was I think it was the vampire Batman. It's been a while
Yeah.
since I watched it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The only negative thing I'll say, this is probably the only negative thing I'm going to say the whole time about this. Um, Putting video games in that is a bad
Yeah.
idea.
I think that's gonna hurt some things, but um, we'll see.
Yeah, you can't put you can't put video games on a timeline like you can a TV show or a movie.
Yeah.
It's much harder. So I think that will fall to the wayside real quick.
Yeah. I don't think the stories will be as strong as they think in those. Anyways, Superman. So okay, first 5 movie films were announced. Movie films, Chris. Have you seen a movie film? It's a little overkill there. I don't know what I was thinking. Superman Legacy. It's going to kick everything off. It's scheduled to release July 11th, 2025. Um, and we've heard it's a younger Superman. We're going to see him being a reporter. No origin story, Chris, is what I've been told.
Good. You don't need one. Okay. Weird cut there. Technical difficulties, everybody. Sorry. But we were talking about Superman. So
Superman and how Chris doesn't have to put up with an origin story. I know he's happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I like that we're starting with Superman. That's where the DC universe needs to start.
Yep. The center of hope.
Yeah. That's the center of everything. And I hope they do a bright, hopeful Superman. It sounds like they're doing All-Star Superman from what the rumors are saying.
Mm-hmm.
If that's true, phenomenal. Yeah, and you don't need an origin story.
Right.
Superman, Batman don't need an origin story. They're pop culture. Everyone knows it. And if you don't, you're living under a rock. So I love that this is where we're starting. I think James Gunn's writing it too.
Mm-hmm. He is.
So this is an amazing start for their cinematic universe.
There are some rumors that and these are just rumors and talks, but Ben Affleck might direct one of the movies, and they think that he might direct this one or the Brave and the Bold movie, which we're going to talk about,
which would be phenomenal.
Yeah,
they should lean into getting auteurs to come in and establish their universe, at least at the beginning.
And we know Ben Affleck just from playing Batman, but he's a huge DC family nerd, so he knows
he's a big comic nerd. If you read Kevin Smith's Daredevil run, he does the foreword of it. So
amazing.
That was part of the reason he did the Daredevil movie that we don't speak about. But also he's a great filmmaker. Like his directed films are phenomenal. So that'd be awesome too.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Brave and the Bold is featuring a new Batman. And so I will say Grant Morrison runs were a lot of the inspiration that James Gunn has pulled from. And while Grant Morrison does that wacky and wild shit, he also has a very firm ground and root and foundation of who these characters are to their bones. And I think that's something Grant Morrison does without a T to a T. The Brave and the Bold featuring new Batman and Damian Wayne Robin. I don't think Chris is. I definitely am not a huge Damian fan. I mean, if I had to have a Robin in a movie, I'm not a huge Robin fan, but if I had to have a Robin, I would say, well, obviously Carrie Kelly, but we can't get her. So Damian's probably the next one in line.
I am a huge Damian fan, actually.
Oh, okay. I did not know.
He's the best Robin, and people can fight me.
I think he is too, but either way, I'm kind of indifferent.
I think if I had to complain about this, I think it'd be nicer to have a build up to Damian. But like we said earlier, like Batman's pop culture. I think Ra's al Ghul is pretty pop culture at this point, and you can do this story real quickly of like where Damian came from, fairly easily. So it's doable. My big hope here. So we'll talk about it later, but they're going to continue doing the Batman as its own thing,
right?
So that one's like very dark and gritty, all black suit.
Yep.
Here's my hope here, and I think it works well with these two characters too. The gray and blue suit.
Yep.
Do a brighter Batman, and that contrasts well with Damian being a darker Robin.
Yeah, I love it. Give me it.
So I'm really excited for this. This is a phenomenal idea, in my opinion. So I'm.
And this is based on the Grant Morrison run, Batman and Robin, which is fantastic, by the way. Very good dynamic between the two characters. The father aspect to Batman as well, because he's his actual son. I couldn't be more happier with this slate.
Some of my first Batman comics too.
Yeah,
the Morrison run as a whole.
Yep. Yeah. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So I don't think either of us have read the Tom King run. I know they're going to pull heavily from that, but the idea here was Superman comes to Earth. Superwoman born on a comet or a chunk of Krypton and has seen a bloody initiation into her world kind of thing, where it's not as hopeful, I think, and cheerful as Superman. It's hard for me to think of that because we haven't gotten like a hopeful, cheerful kind of thing. But I think it could be interesting. I might have to read Tom King's run now.
I'm interested to read that run too. But to do Supergirl, it depends where it falls in because we don't know the exact timeline of when these are coming out, with few exceptions. it might be a little soon right at the beginning for me to do Supergirl. I think you could have saved that for maybe phase or chapter 2, or maybe at the end of chapter 1 if that's what they're doing. But it does add in that character. It gives a strong female lead for the universe right in the beginning. I mean, we go back to the MCU and it was a whole, I mean, all characters I love, but it was a whole lot of white dudes.
True.
And so I think it's smart to bring that character in, and also could add a fun dynamic for like a sequel to Superman where they like have to team up or something.
And I know Tom King was in the room of when they were planning shit, so that probably had something to do with it too.
I'm sure, yeah.
This I was pretty excited for. Swamp Thing is coming out, and it'll be a horror film, which I love the idea. Also, I think who they're slating up to direct this one is the guy who directed Logan, which I think would be, I can't think of his name right now, but I think astonishing. He did a Wolverine movie too, but you know how much I love Swamp Thing, and you know how much Chris loves Swamp Thing. James Gunn gave all the properties that he's pulling from. He's pulling from Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run, so let's fucking go. Let's see it. I can't wait.
Which if they, even if it's not this movie, it's like the second movie. If they do the second volume of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, like that is some of the best comics ever made. If you have not read it, it is so good.
Very good.
It's basically a love story set in hell.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
But yeah, huge Swamp Thing fan, so I'm down with this. The horror bent of it, I mean, when we did it with Doctor Strange, I enjoyed it, so I'm sure I will enjoy it. But it'll be interesting to see how they pull it off. I mean, I thought the Swamp Thing show was pretty good.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a horror show, so
we'll see.
I'm down.
The Authority's coming out, and I have a funny story about this because I saw James Gunn tweeted today that all the Authority graphic novels have sold out everywhere because of this announcement. Because I will tell you this, not a whole lot of people read the Authority.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, I owned the 2 volumes that I had, and I donated them to the library this year because I was like, I'm never gonna read these again. And honestly, that is what I'm like. I could donate these to the library. Not gonna say it's a bad show, it's a bad story, but for me, like, to have a story within DC about more superheroes and do a different route, it's just, it wasn't my kind of thing, because it's like the Wildstorm heroes that are coming in, and I might go back and read it again. I might just enjoy the movie, honestly. Like, you can do that surprisingly with comic book properties, but like you said, you never read it either, so
I want to read Authority because I know like Brubaker did an Authority. I think Millar did an Authority. Like,
he did.
Writers I love did Authority, but I never got around to it. I've read like a few things, like in the New 52 when they did those characters. I tried the second most recent Wildstorm book, but I was never able to get into more recent stuff. So I have very little opinion on this one. It seems like a weird poll, but that's coming from someone who's never read it.
Yeah, it does. But I almost think they're going to try to go with the boys flip on it, of like heroes that aren't your typical hero.
Can I give you my conspiracy theory here?
Yeah.
I think this is Jim Lee being like,
probably,
let's put in some Wildstorm. Like, let's get some because he's been trying for a while to make Wildstorm a thing.
Who do you think's getting a cut? Jim Lee.
I think Jim Lee's like got a big voice in this, and he said like what, because Wildstorm's a big part of the DC universe moving forward. At least they're trying to make it a big part. And it's, I don't know.
I am interested to see. I mean, I'm a huge Midnighter and Apollo fan, and I know those 2 characters show up regularly, so we'll see.
Is that? Please correct me if I'm wrong. That's the Batman Superman analog, right?
Yeah. Yep. And they're in a
is that the one that they're a gay couple? Yeah,
they're a gay couple. Yep.
Okay. So I do know those characters. Yeah, I've seen them in I've actually ironically only read them in a Superman book.
I think it's an interesting dynamic, and I like Midnighter's powers of like he can see things like before people hit him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And along with all that stuff, we got some TV series announced. The first one that's going to be coming out is Creature Commandos animated show. It's going to feature Rick Flag, Senior, Yeah, Nina Mazursky, Dr. Phosphorus, Eric Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, GI Robot, and Weasel. And these characters do have the maybe opportunity to show up in live action too. I mean, this sounds cool. I know it's a James Gunn thing. He's already gotten written. I'm going to watch it. I think it sounded a lot of fun to me.
I mean, Weasel's already shown up in live action.
Yeah, that's true. Weasel was live action. Yeah.
This is the thing I'm most excited about, actually, because it's the weirdest.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
That team sounds so crazy.
Yeah.
And then I always like the classic horror monsters. So Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, like I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
I'm really excited for this one.
Waller, which will so we're getting an Amanda Waller show, which I'm pumped about. The Waller show, it's going to take place in between seasons 1 and 2 of Peacemaker. I'm excited for that. I think if we get like a shitty villain kind of show where she's like going through different iterations of Task Force X or something, I think that would be cool.
Yeah. And it sounds like the real start to this universe is the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, for sure.
This also kind of reconfirms that Peacemaker season 2 is coming.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the only character that worked in the original Suicide Squad movie was Amanda Waller.
Yep.
And that actress is phenomenal in that role.
Viola Davis. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So talented.
And she's such an interesting character, being like this like pseudo government agent rogue person that controls metahumans. Like this is going to be dope. I can tell.
Yeah, I really think Viola Davis is going to be the Nick Fury of the universe, hands down.
Even though it's going to be retconned out,
right?
Her being in Black Adam, and like being that person that like reached out to Black Adam, like that showed me that she was the Nick Fury, or at least even then they were planning on her being the Nick Fury. So I'm sure moving forward,
I don't think they were planning on getting rid of her at all. Lanterns, which is going to be a show that's based on Hal Jordan, a live action show. Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart as they described it as a like a cop show in space, but more of like that show with, oh man, I can't think of the name, but it's like supposed to be like a serious cop show, which I think could be interesting.
Yeah, which is honestly, this is kind of a holdover because I think Berlanti was supposed to do this show.
Yeah, now he's gone.
Yeah, and at one point it was announced as a buddy cop show with Hal and John. Now they're obviously going to go a more serious route, but if you give me John Stewart Green Lantern,
yeah,
I will be there day one.
They called it like True Detective. So if you give me a True Detective style show and these dudes are walking around with these goofy ass green rings on, I would love it. Like, and nobody like questions it at all.
And it could be Warner's Star Wars. It really could, because they can go to all these crazy planets. They can see all these crazy aliens. They can. There's so much potential for Green Lantern stuff.
It's going to be their Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's probably a better analogy than Star Wars. But yeah,
for sure. This one's interesting because I didn't know it was going to be a Wonder Woman sequel. I thought it was going to be a prequel.
Oh, it is a prequel. I miswrote.
Oh, okay, sorry. Wonder Woman Paradise Lost is supposed to be a Wonder Woman prequel about Themyscira. So they described it as Game of Thrones, on Themyscira, which I think could be interesting if we get into the different factions that are like it's not just the Amazons on the island, like the history of the island and things like that. I think that's an interesting show. I'm a huge fantasy nerd, so if you do it well, and incorporate some like DC shit with like maybe Ares showing up and stuff, I would love that.
I was gonna say this is an amazing way to bring in the Greek gods into the universe and really establish them.
Yep.
So that when we see them later on, we kind of know their motivations, assuming we see them later on.
Right.
And maybe even I kind of hope that I want them to keep Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
But maybe just like reboot Gal
Gadot. Yeah, right.
And one of the reasons is because they squandered Ares, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, this sounds really cool. This could be a really great show. So I'm in.
And then the one I like freaked out about. It was Booster Gold TV show. And Chris told me the casting should be Chris Pratt, and I have to agree with him. I think he'd be a great Booster Gold. Yeah. I love Booster Gold. I had the first appearance. I love Jeff Johns' Blue and Gold run. If you've never read it, read it. I'm sure it's selling out everywhere now. I think the hero is so funny. You know, a guy from the future. He was a washed up football player, grabs a suit from the future and tries to make money in the past. I think it's amazing. I think it's an awesome story, and they can do a lot of fun with him traveling through time, meeting other stupid heroes. I think that would be awesome too. Yeah, maybe they'll almost turn him into like the Deadpool comic relief of the universe.
They could set up JLI. I mean, let's,
yes. Oh yeah, for sure. Justice League International. Hell yeah.
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 So I got that because James Gunn at one point said that the cast of Guardians will make the jump to DC.
Amazing.
Like, he said that they will be making the jump to DC. So then as soon as that got announced, I was like, that he greenlit Booster Gold with Chris Pratt in mind. There's no way that didn't happen, which a lot of people are going to be mad about, but you are all wrong. That's a perfect casting. I'm not as big of a Booster Gold fan as you, but there's a lot of potential there.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that we're reaching for lesser known characters in terms of the greater, people out there, the greater masses out there.
Yep.
So I think it's an awesome idea. And yeah, so that kind of, I didn't throw this in, so I'm just going to throw it out there too. There was also a rumor going around too that, I don't know if it was a rumor or confirmed, maybe you can tell me because you followed this closer, that Flash is going to be the beginning of this universe.
Yeah.
That Flash is going to kind of retcon everything.
Yeah, so that's what I've heard too. And Ezra Miller, they said they don't know if they will be coming back or not. But yeah, which leaves me to believe that like there's going to be like a 5 to 10 minute scene at the end where they're just going to go bloop 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 and everything's going to get reset. But he even said like, and this is like James Gunn's quote, that the Flash movie is one of the best superhero films he's ever seen. I don't know if they're like pinching him to say that, but like,
so he kind of has to say that.
Why would you stick to it and like stick to your gun, James Gunn? But I just thought it was like, man, that's really heavy-handed shit right there. I hope it's good. We're getting a trailer next weekend. This day next week. 1 week from now, we'll have a trailer. So
there was also like an Instagram post where somebody like trashed James Gunn and basically said like you fired Gal Gadot, you fired Ben Affleck, you fired Jason Momoa, but you're keeping Ezra Miller around.
Yeah.
And basically saying all the things I said, like he shouldn't be anywhere near that building and all this stuff. And Gunn's response was something along the lines of like, we moved on from Cavill. Ben Affleck had already moved on from Batman at this point.
Yeah.
We didn't fire Gal Gadot.
Right.
Didn't mention Jason Momoa. And said, and nobody has confirmed that Ezra Miller is going to be Flash moving forward. Yeah. I took from that Ezra Miller will not be playing Flash moving forward. That's how I took it. Now, I'm looking into a lot of tea leaves there, but I don't see a world where Ezra Miller, I mean, all these stories keep coming out. He's like going to plead guilty to all this stuff. I just don't see how he sticks around.
You got the season finale of Flash coming out. Fucking do that shit. Give Grant Gustin the role. Do it. Give it to him.
Give it to Grant or start over. I mean, do something, but Ezra cannot come back. I'm sorry.
Give it to Dave Bautista as the Flash.
That would be fucking hilarious.
I would fucking love it. Yeah, so they're going to continue to release the titles outside continuity, label them as DC Elseworlds, which is what we said about fucking 2 years ago, Chris. We can probably find the podcast episode where we talk about this. First 3 to be released under this banner will be Joker 2, Matt Reeves' Batman Part 2, which almost leaves me to believe there won't be more than that after that movie. To have
I disagree, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
Okay. And which Gunn announced October 3rd, 2025, still in development. And the Superman movies by Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams is still in development. So,
yeah. So, Joker 2, whatever. I'm not watching it. So they also announced that the Penguin show is still coming out.
Right, true.
Which I forgot to put in those. But they've put too much into this Matt Reeves thing, and he's already signed this big deal. I think he has a trilogy in mind, and we're going to at least get the trilogy.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the side projects that were announced beforehand are still in the works, like the GCPD show, and obviously the Penguin show is officially official.
Yep.
So I'll be shocked if we don't get at least one more out of them after part 2.
Yeah.
I don't believe that the Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman movie is coming out. I don't believe it.
Yeah, we'll see. I really don't believe it either.
I think him and Abrams are still, because I think Abrams signed a deal with Warner as well. So I believe they're still in the building doing things. I think that is going to fall apart at some point, but they don't want that announcement now. Right. They want it like a year from now.
Yep.
That's my feeling on that, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
All right, everyone. We're going to jump to this interview we have with Richard Fairgray, and we'll see you all on the other side.
And we're back.
I bet we blew your mind with that interview. Every time we talk to Richard, it's just you learn a lot, you laugh a lot, you cry a lot. All around good dude.
Yeah, I say this about a lot of people, but it's true. Like, he's one of my favorite people to talk to.
He almost called us his friends earlier. I believe.
I've told him on multiple occasions to just email me. Like, it doesn't have to be about business. Like, I just like talking to you. So yeah, everybody go support the book because it looks phenomenal. And I got to add on that horror shorts to my pledge.
Yeah, same. All right, the little bit of comic news. I kind of already jumped the gun again on this.
The James Gunn.
Yeah. A lot of people are complaining about the selling out of DC trades, and basically Jim Lee told James Gunn that DC is working on to reprint everything as soon as possible. Dude, James Gunn is like the best spokesperson for the fans right now.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't say it at the end of the whole DC Studios thing, but like, that whole announcement got me I'm excited for DC for the first time in a long time. Same. And I mean more in the movie space than anything. Right. I love a lot of the comics, but him actually coming out and being like, listen, we're happy that you guys went and bought the comics. We're going to try to get more out there. I know people want to read this stuff.
Yep.
That made me happy in a different way because that meant that these announcements brought people to the comics.
That's what you want.
Yeah. So and we talked about it. There's at least one in there that we're going to check out and try to read ourselves. So this is awesome news. I was really happy about that.
Yeah. Jim Lee's counting his Wildstorm check. All right. So what did we read this week? I read a whole 3 comics.
I was able to buy my comics this week, everybody. My retailer's back in the shop. He's back to work.
Nice. All right.
So I have a lot. So I'm going to pick up the slack from Mike this week.
Okay. And there wasn't a whole lot interesting to come out this week, to be honest. My Bad, Volume 2, Number 3 was from last week. Russell Ingman Krauss. Yeah, basically the story wraps up with the Pizza Man killer. He gets captured, and because he ends up at Manchild's doorstep, who's basically the Hulk of that universe. And he shoots the guy because he has Manchild's last name. Well, it happens to be Manchild, so he transforms into the Hulk. And they take him out. And then Emperor Kid, the villain that we know and love, is stuck in jail trying to get a villain's help, and he gets trapped there. And then I have the 2 Lazarus Planet books I had to catch up on. We Were Once Gods is a lot of different stories. Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman. Basically, the summary of it all is like a gate to Hades has been opened. The big story is Billy Batson is back. We get the Shazam story. He was trapped in the Rock of Eternity, but now he trapped the rock within himself, and he's back, I guess. And now, but we see the wizard who gave him his powers is pissed off because now that he has the Rock of Eternity within himself, the wizard lost his powers, so he's a little pissed about that. Lazarus Planet Legends Reborn, number 1. Lots of writers and artists again. Some good stories in here. There's a good story about the question, the Renee Montoya question. Another story about Raven and Trigon. Don't really care for Raven that much. There's a City Boy story in Gotham. It's kind of interesting about how his powers get him to find things and can travel through walls. But the last story, it seemed like the last story in all these books is the best. We get Firestorm back, We haven't seen Firestorm since New 52, I think, or at least since we had Deathstorm. We find out that like whoever is transforming with Ronnie gets older and like loses their energy. So he gets someone else, a new doctor to transform with. He kind of looks like Tony Stark, the guy he picks, and it does the same thing. It makes the guy older, so he forms back with him and says we have to figure this out. So if we get an ongoing Firestorm book, I'd be so fucking happy. I love Firestorm. Huge fan. So,
question for you.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying Lazarus Planet?
No.
Neither am I.
I would say I would like 75% of the shit I'm reading I don't really care for, and it just seems like forced.
I feel like what they did was sell me a event or tried to sell me an event and then actually sold me a sampler book.
Yeah, they're just samplers. That's all they are. They have nothing to do with the event or the rain happening. But yeah, I think
other than
hit
quick
the nail
mentions of like there's weird rain.
Yeah. Basically,
like,
here's a new firestorm.
You're just setting up a bunch of ongoings, and I'm getting frustrated. I'm going to finish it, but I'm getting frustrated with it.
I know. Same here, but that's all I had this week.
So I have Blood Tree #1. This is a new Tomasi book at Image with under Jeff Johns' Ghost Cave imprint.
Oh, okay.
So it's a detective story, which I really liked, and then the story is basically it takes place. The first day takes place on St. Patrick's Day. The St. Patrick's Day parade's around, and then an angel falls from the sky and just lies there. Well, we end up finding out that it's not really an angel. Somebody actually like deformed this person and sewed wings onto them.
Oh boy!
And they're trying to figure out why. And then at the end of it, during a Yankees Red Sox game, another angel falls from the sky into the middle of the baseball field. And there's similarities to it, but there's some differences as well. So it's a neat little detective story with like a twist to it. I thought it was good. I'm going to give it one more issue to really see if I love it, but I didn't enjoy it for the most part. It wasn't bad. It was just good. And some of these are older because I had 3 weeks worth of comics to catch up on. But I picked some of the important ones to talk about today.
Nice.
So Quick Stops #4. The quick version of this, it's a prequel to Clerks. And it was fitting that they end the series with a prequel to Clerks. So it's all about Dante and his girlfriend going to the Hicks family reunion and all the fun hijinks that ensue there. Really, really fun issue. I'm going to say I have a lot to say about that one. So Star Wars Santa Starros #1. This was the book about the ex-wife of Han Solo.
Okay.
It was okay. It's like she goes back to like the planet she grew up on to meet her family. She ends up finding one of her cousins is pregnant and the father is an Imperial officer. And then that turns into a whole thing where the Imperials stole something from them. So they got to go on this heist with her family to find it. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't the best Star Wars thing ever. Miles Morales Spider-Man #3. This one finishes up kind of the battle that Misty Knight and Miles were having with Scorpion, and then sets up this new villain who's kind of been in the background of the first 2 issues. But the villain actually attacks Spider-Man. We get kind of her reasoning for going after Miles. And it's basically that she was supposed to go to the school that Miles went to, but because of a lottery system, he was chosen over her. And even though she had a special gift to kind of commune with technology and computers, she feels like she was wrong. So she's going after Miles and all of his friends. Good issue. Really good issue. Captain America Sentinel of Liberty #9 with the Planet of the Apes variant cover.
Nice.
Of course I did. So Cap and his new invaders invade New York. And it's basically like 3 separate stories of the different teams that are going about trying to do things in the different parts of New York. And then we kind of also get, as they're like invading different AIM facilities, we get a side story at the end with MODOK and how he's actually, as soon as they entered New York, he invaded their minds and has been tricking them the whole time. And kind of also explains how he got his new like super body. And then ends with like him having like so this is the last page, everybody. So spoilers. but it's him like over them with like tentacles in their heads. It was a
That's
really
cool.
cool image. Really enjoying this run. I recommend it for people. Archie versus the World #1. This is the Mad Max Archie thing.
Awesome.
This is one of the few times where I wish it was a series and not a one shot, because I feel like everything was really rushed.
Yeah.
It's done in like 2-page chapters, but you get a lot of cool like Archie as Mad Max kind of vibes, all the different characters from Riverdale and everything, and then like what Archie's like goal at the end of the day is. I would say I wouldn't really recommend it. It wasn't everything I wanted it to be, but I think it's because everything was rushed. Like they should have done a 4-issue series or something, in my opinion. But maybe this is setting up something more. I don't know. And Coins of Judas #1. This is the book from Band of Bards by Travis Gibb.
Yep.
Similar to Hell to Pay that I talked about last week. It's set within Christian mythology with Judas and everything that happened with him. And there's these coins that can summon demons. Okay. But where it veers different from Hell to Pay is that we have this family of like demon hunters. And the father died, leaving the 2 kids to kind of fend for themselves at a young age. And they're tasked with kind of finishing what the father was trying to do. And we end up finding out that some of the demons got into their estate and stole some of the coins. So it ends the first issue with this huge demon outside their building, like being summoned by the coins.
That's awesome.
So really, really good issue. And then my last one was Action Comics number 1051. So what's funny about this is I was really looking forward to the Power Girl stuff. And I was not really looking forward to the Dan Jurgens stuff.
Okay.
And the Dan Jurgens stuff was my favorite, and the Power Girl stuff was my least favorite.
Oh, interesting.
So the first, it's 3 stories. The first one's by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and it's basically bringing back all the super family, including your beloved Superman of China, Mike.
Oh my god!
And this cool little like story of them all getting together and kind of setting the foundation of what is going to be moving forward, including having John and Natasha Irons starting this new company that's going to be the beacon of technology across the world until Mantello gets there and attacks them.
Oh boy.
So that's the first story. The second story was Dan Jurgens, and it's the one that takes place right after Death of Superman with that weird like new Doomsday, Deathbreaker or whatever.
Yep.
But what it is, it's set in that time frame, and we're in a time when John is still a little kid. So it's Superman Lois, and John is a little kid.
Okay.
And they go back to the home where they took John when he was first born, and they decide that they're going to try to live there for a little bit while they're while Metropolis is dealing with what happened from that Doomsday Deathbreaker dude. And we find out that John has like the bone of Doomsday that everybody's afraid of, and that both Superman and Batman are trying to find, because if somebody gets it, they can use it to transform themselves into a Doomsday-like creature. And John takes it to this little like tree fort he has when he sees something fall out of the sky, and out comes this weird alien that asks him to take me to your king.
Interesting.
So obviously I liked it because I got Kid John again.
Yeah, that's what we want. Yeah.
And I just really liked the time frame. And then the last one with Power Girl was from Lazarus Planet, where Power Girl like gained psychic
powers.
Psychic powers. And she's working with the woman that she like psychically linked with, and they're going to start a firm to help superheroes with their issues, I guess. And the first person they get is Beast Boy, who is kind of transformed into this calf and refuses to talk, or is basically like insulated himself from the world. So she has to go inside his mind to help him.
Interesting.
Not the Power Girl I wanted, but it's the Power Girl I got.
Yep.
So not as much like over the top super heroics that I was hoping for, but not a bad story. It just wasn't what I wanted. the end of the day. So, Mike, that was everything I had this week. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show?
Well, you can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter and most social media at that. And you can find the show at Fortress Comics _ on Twitter, also at FortressComicNews.com. Remember, everybody, to give us the 5-star reviews on podcast your choice. Comment on the Spotify version if you're using Spotify, or answer the poll that I'm putting up with every show on Spotify. And if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment down below on that as well. And if you want to go the extra mile, we have the Patreon at patreon.com/FortressComics. Also, the affiliate links in the show notes down below. So, everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening this week. And I will see you all here next week.
Thank you.